What's happening, everybody? This is OnnSean with OnBeat Entertainment. Today I'm doing a tutorial in Logic Pro X, and I'm going to show you how to quantize your audio samples. And quantizing, all that is just taking either your MIDI notes or your audio transients, which are just the peaks in your audio, and it's moving them, shifting them to wherever the nearest point on your timing grid is. Now, if you don't understand what that means, don't worry about it. You will here in just a minute. So for now, I'm going to take you through first. I'm going to play this sample for you. This is going to be an unquantized sample of something that I played and converted into an audio region here. And I'm going to play the metronome or the click track along with it so that you can listen to how it doesn't match the click track 100%. So check it out. Okay, so so you could hear there that it doesn't match 100%, and that's what we're doing here. We're going to quantize that and make it so that it robotically matches that beat. So first, before we start, if you're not seeing your waveform here in the region, you're going to want to come over here to this little icon, which is Waveform Zoom, and just click that to make it bigger. If that doesn't quite get it, click and hold it, and it turns into a fader that you can move up or down to whatever your liking is. That'll change it for every audio region in your project, not just the one that you're currently working on. And remember, it's not doing anything to the audio, it's just a visual thing, so it makes it easier for you to see what's in there. I'm going to make this wider so we can see it. Okay, so now quantizing this is going to be really easy. All we're going to do is come over here. We're going to click this icon, which is the flex time icon. That's going to turn flex time on for the entire track. Now we have to come down here. As soon as we turn it on here, we're going to see these little flex icons pop up in any audio region that you may have where there's an audio file. Since this is the audio region we're going to be working with here today, I'm going to turn it on right here. And important to note too that flex time is track based, not region based. So if there are more things on this track that you don't want to have affected by what we're about to do here, you're probably going to want to highlight them and drag them off to a different track momentarily, or I can just select the entire track here, and then which highlights not only this one but any other regions on the track, and then come over to, if I had other regions over here that I didn't want, just hold down shift and click those, and that would deselect them so that this one is the only one lit up. Okay. So anyway, flex time on for the track, flex time on for the project, flex time on for the individual track, and now we're ready to go. All we really have to do right now is come over here and click quantize and select a quantization, which I'll click 1/8. And then we can play that. Now, that's the quick and easy way of doing it. As you can hear in there, though, there's definitely something going on, right? There's some points where it seems to drag. There's some points where it seems to drop out. Audio seems to drop out. It gets a little gritty here and there. And if we zoom in really closely, let's click right here and zoom in, we can actually see that there actually are gaps in the track now. So what happened there? It's because of this right here, this little algorithm. So the quick way of quantizing your audio is just to turn flex time on for the project, turn it on for the track, and then go ahead and quantize, and you're done. However, that may not always be the best way because we've skipped a vital step, and it will work without that step, but it might not be as good as it could be. So what we have to do is open this little drop down right here, and what this is, these are all the flex algorithms. This is basically telling Logic as best you can what this audio region is and what we're trying to do with it. Okay, you can't talk to Logic; it's not a human, so it's not going to understand if you just sit down and have a conversation with it, obviously. But you do have this drop down in which to communicate communicate best what this region is, so that Logic can process it better. If you don't, what happens is Logic, when you first turn flex time on for the track right here, Logic scans the track and takes its best guess as to which algorithm it should use. In this case, it selected slicing, which is why we heard it sound the way that it did. Slicing is not the best option for this. So don't really think of it as right or wrong. I shouldn't have said that, but it may not be what you were after, is my point. So what we can do is forget about this one, first of all, this flex time automatic for a second, because that's always going to be at the top, the one that says automatic, and in parentheses it'll show which one of these it's selected. But for right now, we already know it selected slicing. That's not the right one, so we're going to want to select one of these other ones. And don't worry, these are all non-destructive, so I can keep selecting different ones, and it's just going to keep changing it. It's not going to affect the audio at all. It's non-destructive. So let's go back and select slicing again. So now this was the one that Logic selected. If we go down here, monophonic and polyphonic, they're kind of brother and sister. Monophonic is if you have an audio sample which is just one note being played at a particular time, no chords whatsoever, anything like that, like a bass or an 808 kick. You're never going to hear more than one note being played at a time there. Even if there's a long decay on the note, it usually will cut out before the next note comes in. So that is truly monophonic. So that's where you would want to use that. Polyphonic is basically anything else. So you have a sample and there's more than one note being played at a time, or even in this case, I literally played one note at a time to make this sample, but there's a tail on that. And so during the decay, while the first note is still decaying, the second note plays. So therefore making it more than one note being played at a time. So that's polyphonic. So if we tried to go monophonic on this is what we would get. Okay, so we can hear that it sounds kind of muffled and weird, right? And that's because it's not only one note, but Logic is processing it as if it is. So let me undo that here real quick, and then I'm going to go over here and select polyphonic. By the way, there's some timing issue going on right here at the beginning that you've probably heard from now that we're going to, over here, that we're going to need to fix, but we're not quite there yet. So, so this is polyphonic. And by the way, we forgot to turn quantize back on because I undid it. I forgot. All right, so now let's listen to it again. So there's definitely some issues towards the beginning of that, but after that, it was really locked on well. And again, it may not be perfect the first time around. You may need to go in and tweak some notes here and there, just like when you're quantizing your MIDI notes. Every now and again, it drags a note to the wrong. Not the wrong, but it drags it to the closest point on your timing grid. But that may not be exactly where you want it, so you got to go in and edit it. And we'll have to do the same thing here. That's what monophonic and polyphonic. Polyphonic will probably be used most of the time. But then you've got these other two, slicing and rhythmic. They're both percussive algorithms. Think of rhythmic as kind of the polyphonic of percussion. If you've got a beat loop or a whole bunch of drums in your sample, and or some drums with lots of reverb on them, that's going to be rhythmic. Slicing is more if you got a soul drum sound and with not a long tail to it, and it's dry, no reverb or anything. That's going to be slicing. When we move slicing, if you look, it basically clears. It doesn't drag the rest of everything with it. It just drags from where you grab it and drag it. And it's kind of like when you were young and you grab a branch off a tree and cup your hand around it and slide your hand up the branch real quick, and it rips all the leaves off and leaves just a branch. It always reminds me of that whenever you use slicing, because that's basically what it does. And that's how you get all these gaps created. And that's why when you're using slicing, it shouldn't be anything with a long reverb tail, because it'll get chopped. Okay, so that's slicing. And Rhythmic, I'm not going to show you that. It's going to look very similar to Polyphonic, and I don't have a drum loop here, so but I did explain to you what that is. Speed and Tempophone, you see they both have this FX in the parentheses after them. It's because they act more like effects than they do algorithms for flex time. So speed, none of these algorithms, and flex time is not known for changing the pitch. Flex pitch is, but flex time is not known for changing the pitch. It's known for changing just the length of the sample or the speed of the sample without changing the pitch. Okay, so so if I select speed and then I move this, let's say I move this, drag this flex marker way up here, what it's doing is it's squishing everything to the left of it and stretching everything to the right, which normally would be just a normal flex time move. But when you use speed, this part that got squished up is now going to play very fast, and it's going to simulate a record that you play very fast, and that the pitch is going to go way up. As soon as it hits this flex point, though, this part was stretched out, so it's going to take a longer time to play it, which it's going to come off sounding like a record that's played really slow. So you'll hear this being played at a fast rate and in a high pitch, and as soon as it hits this flex, it's going to switch to playing at a slow rate and a lower pitch. So listen to that. So did you hear that? It happened really quickly, but that's how that works. So that's speed, and that's why they labeled it an effect. Tempophone is just kind of like the old Tempophone, which was a tape-based time stretching machine back in the day. And when it didn't use computers or anything, it was just a tape-based machine that did it, and it created very recognizable artifacts and had a very recognizable type of sound to it. And so if I select that, so you want to know what time stretching sounded like before computers? There you go. So that's a pretty good imitation of it. And so anyway, so that's Tempophone, and again, the automatic one is just whichever one Logic selected, but you don't have to use that one. You can come in here and change it to whatever one. I think we settled on Polyphonic, so that's the one we're going to use. And let me undo a couple of times here so we don't have that screwed up at the beginning. So right here we can hear that there's a little something going on. Remember I told you that you may have to come in here afterwards and make some adjustments because that's typical with quantizing. Even when you're quantizing MIDI, you may have to come in afterwards and make some adjustments. So if I need to adjust this part, probably needs to be right hit right where this 1.3 is. Yeah, it should hit right there. So what I can do is when I hover over the top portion of this wave file, I see this single line. Let me get this out of here. I see this single line, and that's telling me that it's about to drop a flex marker if I click it. So if I click it right here, it's going to drop a flex marker. Flex markers enable you to be able to pull the audio wherever you want. So if I pull this now over to here, it's going to move this over to here. Okay, so now when I play it, that one's correct, but this one seems incorrect. So what if this is probably the transient that I want right here. So what if I went and clicked it right here and did the same thing? Well, now it's not working out the same, right? The reason it's not is because of, let me undo, is because of this one. So when I click right here to make a flex marker so that I can move the audio, when you slide a flex marker, it's only going to slide left or right. It's only going to slide the audio up to but not past the next flex marker to the left, and up to but not past the next flex marker to the right. So now if I move this, it's only going to change the audio in between those two flex markers to my left and right. Okay, so that's why when I went to slide this over to 1/4 where I think it should be, it's not working right. It's sandwiching all that, and now I bet when I play it, it's going to sound all funky, right? It just sounds like it skipped a part of the beat or whatever. So instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is undo. I can go up here and get rid of this thing by see that little X at the top. Click that. And now I can just click this flex marker, come up here and click that, get rid of that. And now when I put it back, drop one right here and move this maybe right over to here. Maybe just a hair past. Now it sounds a lot better, right? Maybe even this one. Move it up just a little bit. Right, so that's how you can that's how to quantize it and then come back in and make any extra adjustments, because there's no need for me to show you how to just quantize it if it's not going to be perfect, right? So once you quantize it, there may be some imperfections you need to tighten up, and that's basically how you're going to do that. That is how you quantize a sample in Logic using FlexTime. So before you go, if you would, please click the thumbs up button for me down below. And in addition, I'd certainly appreciate your support. All you have to do for that is hit the red subscribe below. That's it. Also, please leave me a comment. I do read all of them, whether it be a follow-up question, a different way maybe that you do things, something that you want to add to the conversation, anything whatsoever. I'd love to hear from you. You can follow me on places like Twitter and Instagram. I am at onnseanbeats, and all my social media links are in the description below, so hopefully I'll see you on there as well. As always, thanks for watching.